Welcome back. This is another glorious day that the Lord has given to us to be able to read His Word, to witness to people, and to try to encourage people and understand that there is hope in this world that looks so dark. And that hope is with the blessing of the Lord Jesus Christ and what He did for us, and the blessed hope of His return, as Christ promised that He was going to come. And we know when He was going to come because the Lord gave us the signs. And this is what my book is all about, documenting all of those signs to show you that we are the very specific generation of the last days that Jesus warned about. So, with that in mind, let me go and scroll down. And I just want to give you a brief update about the earthquakes that have been going on, because these are one of the signs, one of the many signs that the Lord told us to keep a lookout for. And of course, in Matthew chapter 24, we see the sign of earthquakes here, and as well as in Luke. Everybody should be becoming familiar with this by now about the great earthquakes that are going to be coming. So far today, we've seen a host of different earthquakes, and of course, anything at least a 5.0 and above, this is a strong earthquake. And as it moves up into the 6 and the 7, obviously that is pretty strong, very, very strong, are these great earthquakes that we see. And so we see that Russia has been hit with a 5.2, and there's been a series of quakes that have hit in Papua New Guinea today, and God only knows what's going to be coming, but I do know that the great earthquakes are on their way, so I'm going to keep that red flag up. Now, according to what the Lord also told us, that in the last days, one of the signs that we would know that we were the last generation was the sign that God gave Daniel from 12:4, increase in knowledge in the last days. Now, I'm going to be answering a question that was given to me by one of my viewers for my YouTube about the revelation, about the Revelation chapter 9, where it talks about these locusts that are going to be coming out and they're going to be stinging people. And the person wanted to know whether the YouTube that they sent me was in fact what John saw in the Revelation. So in order for me to connect the dots and answer their question here at this forum, I want to show you what they sent to me, and then I'll connect the dots with the scriptures in another video as well. So take a look.
The US is funneling money into tracking systems that are threatening to make the very concept of privacy a thing of the past. It could mean people's every move being used against them to keep them under surveillance. Artie's Marine Report now looks at the future of being watched.
The information age was an era nearly everybody embraced. But today's surveillance age, experts say, is a reality almost no one can escape.
We are 5 years away in New York from zero privacy, from every New Yorker being tracked and cataloged and watched, and that information being saved for pretty much an indeterminate period of time.
Private investigators.
All right, let me stop there for a second, because we know that the people living during the tribulation period, of which this Revelation plague takes place, or these locusts come out, it's going to be during the time of the reign of the Antichrist, which there is no doubt that he's going to have all kinds of technologies to his disposal to be able to track every single person on this planet. And what this video was showing us, or this news report is showing us, just how far the world has gotten of people being tracked on a daily basis. And you'll see how I'm going to connect the dots with Revelation chapter 9 in a second.
Steve Rombaum believes America is being landscaped into an eyes-wide-open society through the advancing market of biometrics, technology that uses physiological and behavioral recognition to identify people.
Now, of course, this was never able to be done before in any other generation except ours, which brought on the computers.
A A system touted as a national security necessity is being used to build a database where the biometric identity of millions of Americans will be gathered and stored.
Now notice, if you will, just as a side note, in Revelation chapter 13, Jesus tells us and focuses on two different things concerning the mark of the beast. He tells us in Revelation chapter 13, read verses 15 through 17, if you will, that the Antichrist will be forcing his mark on the forehead and in the hand. And so the ID systems that are coming online and are being used throughout the world, they're focusing on the face and in the hand. And this is just the road showing us that we are already on the road leading to the finality of which will be in Revelation 13 when the Antichrist puts it on the forehead and on the hand. It won't be on the fingerprint. It won't be on the iris or anything. It will be on the forehead and it will be on the hand, as the Lord said. So I wanted to point that out from this video.
When you look at crime, when you look at terrorism, what we're really focusing on is the individual. And so if you are interested in reducing crime or reducing terrorism, you do have to focus on the individual. And biometrics is a way of connecting the person with a measurement.
Recognition of unwanted visitors.
Face recognition and iris scanning are the current tools of the trade. However, scientists are reportedly developing new technology aimed at identifying anyone from much greater distances. If researchers are successful, the Defense Department may eventually be able to detect individuals by ear shape, heartbeat, walking patterns, and possibly even odor. Long-range fingerprint and iris scanning are reportedly also being explored for the U.S. toolbox of tracking.
Are there reasons to have such security devices? Sure. Do I think it's American? Do I think it's appropriate that somebody can press a button and determine everywhere I've been, everything I've done, everyone I've been with? No, it's wrong. And I think that we're entitled to privacy.
Author and journalist A.J. Jacobs recently spent 3 months documenting every second of his life with a small camera worn like a Bluetooth.
It's remarkable. It holds 10 hours of video.
Esquire magazine's editor-at-large subscribed to self-surveillance for an article about life logging. Yet he believes the market of high-tech cameras and consumer biometric applications will soon make little brother an equally big concern.
I think that we're not going to have a private moment in the future. And I always tell people, listen, if you want to have an extramarital affair, you better have it right now, because you're not going to be able to have it in 5 years, because everything will be tracked. Your husband or wife will be able to know exactly where you are at all times.
Now, it just won't be your husband and your wife. Let me tell you this. During the tribulation, there is no doubt in my mind that the Antichrist, who is supposed to be the super being, someone that has never seen, this world has never seen before, is going to have the ability at his exposure to tap into every single technology that he needs, including keeping track of every single person. So what he is saying, there's no doubt it's the truth. People are going to be tracked everywhere during the tribulation period.
As companies like Apple move towards fingerprint readers and facial recognition, insiders say that consumer electronics will generate an entirely new source of revenue for the biometric industry, an industry estimated to bank more than $9 billion globally this year. However, the top cash cow is expected to remain government spending on security. In the past 5 years, the Department of Defense has shelled out an estimated $3 billion on biometric programs.
There you go. You see what he just did? He took a picture of his face and now he's messing with his hand. Again, just signs. They may be small signs, but they are piling up, leading to the right hand and the forehead, just like Jesus said. Now I'm going to go down and show you where Revelation chapter 9 is, because this is the question that the person had asked, or what we see in Revelation chapter 9, is this what John saw? And knowing that we're in the last days and the technology and the computers and just outrageous inventions That's a very good question to find out whether is it because we're living in the last days now we understand and we're seeing what John saw, or is it something else? So let me just show you a video first, and then I'm going to come back. This will be the second video and get into Revelation chapter 9. So let me scroll down here, just take a second, and we're going to play the next video, and you'll see why I'm bringing this video to you.
You know, I was having a pretty great day yesterday. Then I saw this sponsored video from General Dynamics, one of the leading defense contractors in the U.S., about their new micro drones that are about to hit the market.
Micro air vehicles, or MAVs, will play an important role in future warfare. The urban battlefield calls for tools to increase the warfighter's situational awareness and capacity to engage rapidly, precisely, and with minimal collateral damage. MAVs will be integrated into future Air Force layered sensing systems. These systems may be airdropped or hand-launched, depending on the mission requirements.
I'm sorry, did that plane just shoot out a bunch of little tiny drones? Terrifying! Really terrifying. So these micro air vehicles, or MAVs, are designed to deal with urban battlefields with rapid precision. The question is, what urban battles are military fighting that they need this kind of creepy technology? And forget about shooting these things down. They're about this big.
The small size of MAVs allows them to be hidden in plain sight. Once in place, an MAV can enter a low-powered extended surveillance mode for missions lasting days or weeks. This may require the MAV to harvest energy from environmental sources, such as sunlight or wind, or from man-made sources, such as power lines and vibrating machinery.
Hidden in plain sight on missions that could last weeks? Powered by the sun or power lines? And did you see that little Terminator-looking pigeon? My God! Orwell would be rolling in his grave if he could see the absurdly dystopic reality we're about to be living in. But their small size is not just to linger undetected outdoors. It's also to gain access inside.
Small size and agile flight will enable MAVs to covertly enter locations inaccessible by traditional means of aerial surveillance. Multiple MAVs, each equipped with small sensors, will work together to survey a large area. Information from these sensors will be combined, providing this swarm of MAVs with a big picture point of view.
Maybe these places are not conducive to traditional surveillance methods because it's supposed to be illegal to surveil people's homes without a warrant. And also, how frightening is it to think of a swarm of these little robots coming at you in a dark hallway? Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They see all. They communicate together, offering this big picture image to whoever's sitting on the other end of the screen. Can anyone say Minority Report? Because this is literally what this country's turning into. And if that isn't chilling enough, sit tight, because it's about to get worse.
While some MAVs may be used purely for visual reconnaissance, others may be used for targeting or tagging of sensitive locations. Individual MAVs may perform direct attack missions and can be equipped with incapacitating chemicals, combustible payloads, or even explosives for precision targeting capability.
Wow. So if the surveillance fails, then these mini robots can and will set off explosives, chemical agents, and even assassinate human beings. At whose direction? Obama? The same person who has targeted the execution of a 16-year-old without due process? Gee, that's comforting. But doesn't it make you feel safer knowing that this technology will soon be in the hands of our military and defense contractors? The same defense contractors that rape and kill with impunity? But will these MAVs really be used everywhere in the future of warfare?
MAVs will become a vital element in the ever-changing warfighting environment and will help ensure success on the battlefield of the future. Unobtrusive, pervasive, lethal, micro-air vehicles, enhancing the capabilities of the future warfighter.
unobtrusive, pervasive, and lethal. So, welcome to the brave new world, kids, and watch out for bugs, because the next time you try to kill a fly, it might kill you first.
All right, so you see what the news has for us. So let me jet up here, and we'll start right in to Revelation and show you the reason why that this person asked about this question. And it has to do with these locusts that come out as part of the wrath of God that's being poured out on an unrighteous church, or excuse me, unrighteous world, because the church will be gone at this point. They already left in Revelation chapter 4 verse 1, and they're not seen again into Revelation chapter 19. So when you look at it, we know that Revelation 4:1, and we have this huge plague coming in Revelation 9 or 9:1. It starts in 9:1. And then just do a reverse on this, and it's 19, and you see the church coming back on Revelation chapter 19. And it's just a side note, something that I noticed, and who knows if it's part of codes or whatever. But besides that, let's get right into it. Revelation 9:1, it says this: "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven upon the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." Now, we know that Jesus Christ holds the key to the bottomless pit. And he took the key away from Satan when Jesus went there, and he preached and brought the captivity captive with him. And of course, if you want to read the entire scripture about this, where Jesus, we know that he descended into the heart of the earth first, and then he ascended up. And this is when he brought the people who were waiting for the promise of the salvation of Christ. And so the fifth trumpet, the expulsion of Satan from heaven, because we know right now Satan has access to heaven. He's accusing the brethren day and night there. And so the identification of Satan in this passage is not hard to make. Isaiah foresaw the development in exactly the same manner described by John. And how you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn. You have been cut down to the earth. You have weakened the nations. And you'll see this in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. Now, many people mistakenly believe that throughout human history, Satan has already been banished from heaven. That's not the case at all. You'll see this. Or that the reigns of some kind of kingdom in hell. He's not reigning. He's got access to heaven. He's causing trouble on the world, but he does have access to this earth and in the heaven at this particular time. Now, that isn't true. Satan has always had access to the throne of God, where he serves as the principal accuser, just like I said, is the saints of God. Now and of course, if you want to see the scripture for this is in Job chapter 1, verse 4, where if you want, it says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them." He was accusing the brethren. So, Satan's entry into God's presence changes here. And what I mean by that? Well, I mean by he's going to be cast out. Now he is kicked out of heaven, and he is furious, no doubt about this. And this is now, when you're looking on earth and what's going on earth, why this is going on in Revelation chapter 9, we know that the Antichrist is already there. He's been working. He's established. He's the beginning. When he signs that covenant or confirms the covenant in Daniel 9:27, he begins his reign there. So he's already there. Now we're in the midstream. We're in the halfway point of the Revelation, and Satan is kicked out of heaven. All right? And when he's kicked out of heaven, what happens? He incarnates himself in the Antichrist. Of course, we know when he's coming out of heaven, he's furious. So take a note of this. And note also that he carries with him the key to the bottomless pit. You'll see this, Revelation again, verse 1. Revelation 9, verse 1. He didn't have it before. It was given to him by one that holds the keys to heaven, hell, and death. Now, in Revelation 9:2, it says this, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of the great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. So Jesus gave Satan the keys so that he could be released to carry out this punishment, just as Satan had to have permission of God to afflict Job. And Satan brings all of these terrible troubles on the earth and his people by permission of God. The physical smoke that comes up surely will obscure the sun and diminish the light. In the spiritual, it will diminish the light as well. I mean, it's going to be a horrendous time when this power is given to him to bring out what you're going to be seeing. All right, so moving on. The abyss is the home of Satan and his demons. And when Satan opens the abyss, here comes the demons in force to deceive and destroy. And they have such a vicious nature that God had to bind them to keep the human race from being annihilated before the appointed time. But now the restraints are off. Everything is about ready to take off, and they're going to about do their work. Now take a look at this. And out of the smoke came these, which you're going to see, these locust things. It came forth locusts upon the earth, and the power was given them as the scorpions of the earth have power. And they were told that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, nor any green thing, nor any tree, but only the men who do not have the seal of God in their foreheads. So right away, one of the most important things that I want to bring up here is these demons could actually destroy the grass. They can consume the grass, and that is important when you see the video about these bugs that are the U.S. and probably other nations have come up with, these new inventions that look like these bugs who can fly and do surveillance and actually kill. And so we know that inventions by man are not going to eat up all the grass and so forth, but there's other signs that these are not mechanical structures that were produced by people, but they're actually demons who go out, and you're going to see some other important aspects of that. Now, the appearance of these locusts is both frightening and repulsive when you see in verse 7 through 10, and they do not act in the unorganized way. In fact, John says this, okay? They had a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is Hebrew Abaddon, but in the Greek his name is Apollyon, in verse 11. Now, both names mean destroyer. Okay. Now, this seems to be one of the plagues that God sends on the followers of the Antichrist. And keep in mind that the church is gone, so he's not going to be sending the plagues on his own children. But those who are following the Antichrist, to hinder them from proselytizing among the uncommitted of the world. And keep in mind, there's going to be 144,000 Jewish male virgins who will be preaching the gospel during this time, as well as in the beginning the 2 prophets that are going to be coming and also giving the gospel of Jesus Christ salvation. It may also give tribulation saints some time to prepare themselves for the horrors of the soon-to-come great tribulation. Now, one thing that is extremely important when we're talking about the tribulation saints, there's always been saints. There were saints in the early church. There's saints right now. And, of course, there are going to be saints in the tribulation period. Now, the church saints are different from these saints because the church saints come out of a church age, the age of grace, where we know that is now gone, and the church, these saints, are those that heard the message from the church saints, And now, because they've been left behind, they remembered what was told by the church saints, and they've given their lives over to Christ, and now they're going to have to go through the tribulation period. But they are called saints. All right, it's going to be, and as it says, it is definitely going to be the horrible time and the horrors that are going to become during this time. So if any religious activity is still going on at this time, there will be a flood of false doctrine and defaming of our Lord Jesus Christ. It's going to be just terrible times, darkness. It would be very kind, or be a kind of religion of the flesh. Anything goes religion. And it sounds very much like what is going on today in most of the churches, where Jesus is standing outside the door and the gospel is not even being preached anymore in many of the churches. Now in Revelation 9:3 it says this, and there came out of the smoke, get this, smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given the power as scorpions of the earth have power. Now this is probably where this question came to surface, because he was asking, the person was asking, could these locusts actually be these little bugs that are being produced by governments? And of course, I don't believe that. I believe that they are actually demons. The demons will be able to consume the grass, unlike, what would be the purpose of the military going out to destroy the grass and the green thing? None. I mean, they would be going after people if that was the case. So the description of the locusts indicates that they are demons who are given physical forms in order to manifest their destruction and torment. Now horses show their warlike character. Their crowns depict them as the conquerors, and the human faces show intelligence. And again, this is a major sign that they're demons, because intelligence would not come from a man-made creature who is being controlled by somebody in a control panel, or somebody controlling this in an armed forces barracks or whatever. But these have the ability to understand and make judgments for themselves, as you're going to see. So their feminine hair perhaps makes them seductive and attractive, and her teeth of lion shows them as destructive and hurtful. The breastplates of iron make them indestructible. All right, well, if in the real world you have breastplates that would be placed on, for example, these little creatures that our government is producing, and somebody they would be able to destroy one of these bugs. They can hit it, they can shoot it. It may be difficult to do, but they can be destroyed, unlike these demonized locusts who are not going to be able to be destroyed like this. All right, so fortunately for mankind, their period of torment is limited to 5 months. Now, they have the ability, whatever it is, they're going to sting the people, and in the sting, we are told that it will last for 5 months. So, it would be very highly unlikely for a government to be able to sting somebody, not to say that it can't happen, but to sting somebody to last exactly for 5 months. But this is the judgment that's being poured out by God, and it will be exactly for 5 months. And keep in mind, the people, or these demons who do it, they know who to go after. And they know who not to sting, and they know who to sting, unlike creatures that are developed by a military. There's some things the military just cannot do, but these creatures will be able to do that. Now notice these have to be demons, as they had no power in and of themselves. It was given unto them. In Revelation 9:4, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So right away, we have another major sign that they're not military equipment, these bugs, because military go after what? They seek and destroy the enemy, the person who is shooting back at them, the person who is trying to do them harm. Unlike this particular case where these demons would have the ability to ravish, obviously, the green grass and the trees and anything that's green. And so that is definitely foreign to a military invention, if you will. So this is an attack on a person, which makes us take another look at it spiritually. In other words, it's going to be something that is allowed to happen by demons and not by some kind of military action. And they have orders not to hurt the vegetarian or, now here comes the intelligence of these things, and only demonized creatures would be able to discern who these people are. And you'll notice that they're not to hurt the vegetation or, as I said, 144,000 who have been sealed in their foreheads. Now, real locusts would eat everything in their path, or as you see it's written here, green thing that they could find. And they do that. And of course, if you want to see that, just go and look at the news now about Egypt and the locusts. 30 million, as I reported, I believe it was yesterday. 30 million locusts just ravishing everything in sight. And so, again, it's just foreign to a military because they're going after people and they're not concerned about the grass or let me take out a tree. Looking at this form of looking at it a spiritual standpoint, these locusts are demon spirits turned loose upon this earth. The devil or his demons cannot really hurt anyone covered in the blood of Jesus. All right, and that seal is going to be only on 144,000 Jews, male virgins. Now, they were not permitted to kill anyone, but to torment for 5 months. And the torment was like the torment of a scorpion, which he stings a man. Revelation chapter 9, verses 3 to 5. Now, God's instructions are, in essence, you may torment those who have the Antichrist mark, but you may not kill them. And also, you may not touch those who belong to me. Satan's power is under strict control over those sealed by God, both now and in the tribulation. Though this will be a period of great anguish, it is really the grace of God at work. And I'm sure that the Lord is seeking to make mankind think because of this terrible torment and to decide to come to him. You'd have to be crazy if you read this, knowing what's going to happen, and you would disbelieve it, then God would show you what's going to happen to you during that tribulation period. Now moving on, Revelation 9:5, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented for 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when it striketh a man. And here again, whether this is a physical pain or the torment from the fallout causing the sores or the torture, or whether this is a spiritual or terrible suffering, it is brought on by the constant attack by the devil for 5 months. And it's terrible. No doubt it's going to be horrendous for anybody who was stung by these demonized locusts. Now, as for Hiroshima, those who survived the bomb wish that they were dead. They had great sores, deformities, torment beyond our comprehension took place. In many cases, it took 5 months to die. The terrible burn would have the pain of the scorpion sting. This is just making a likeness or a comparison, but I don't think that this is even good enough because nobody has ever seen anything like what is coming, and they'll never see it again after this. So at this point, let's look at something we've studied before. I've made a video about this before when I was teaching on the book of Revelation in this part of the Bible. Remember, the 144,000 were the 4 angels held back the winds until they had been sealed in chapter 7. And not only were the 144 sealed, but also those who turned to Christ during the tribulation. Those are the tribulation saints, and they too were sealed by God, just as all the true Christians of today have God's seal on them. Now, there's also the point here that since we see only 144,000 have a seal on their foreheads for sure, and there's no mention of any other group that actually have a physical seal, there is that possibility that the only people that will not be stung will be the 144,000. And let me just say this about that. You don't want to take the chance. And the only way that you can be assured that you would not be stung is not be in the tribulation when this takes place. And the only way that can happen is if you give your life to Jesus. If you haven't done it yet, I would suggest that you do it really quick. Now, moving on in Revelation 9:6, and in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and there shall desire to die, and the death shall flee them. Now, death would be welcome relief to all of this suffering, and there's no doubt. They're not going to be able to die. They're going to try to kill themselves, but the Lord is not going to allow people to die. Not at all. Now, moving on, Revelation chapter 9, verses 7 through 8, and the shapes of the locusts were those of horses prepared unto battle. On their heads were, as it were, crowns of gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. Now here again, John describes the locusts, the demons, as he gives a detailed description of their appearance in the vision. And they are described as locusts, as they will bring massive and devastating judgment from God. The demon host will be virtually unstoppable. And man will have no weapon that can harm them or cure or for the trouble, torment that are inflicted on them. Now, since we know this from seeing what God has shown us in the Revelation chapter 9, this is definitely going to not be and cannot be some product of an invention by a military, because there are going to be many of these little creatures who the government will produce that will be stoppable. There's no question about that. You can't kill them all. Or you will be able to kill many of them. You know, you just, if you wanted to take let me give you an example. If somebody saw, if in the video you saw that there was a host of these little bugs with cameras and they were going down the hallway. Well, if you had somebody who had a shotgun and it had bird pellets in it and they shot at a group of these things, there's no doubt that you'd be able to take a lot of them out by those pellets. But in the case of the demons that we see in Revelation chapter 9, that isn't the case. You're not going to be able to kill them. Now, their faces of the men indicate that they are intelligent, just like I said, and they'll be able independently to make their decision who they can touch and who they can sting. This cannot happen through a military. One military person who will be able to control things like this, or even many people who will be able to control. This is independent demons who will be able to make and see who they can and who they cannot touch. So the hair, having hair as being hair like a woman, emphasizes their seductiveness, and perhaps, who knows for sure, but perhaps to lure unsuspecting unbelievers to come close to them before they're actually stung or striking them. Now, having the teeth like a lion means they will be more fierce, powerful, than deadlier than even lions would be. As again, we've never seen anything like this, and you don't want to be around to see it. Revelation 9:9, and they had the breastplates, as it were the breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots and many horses running into battle. Now, if one of the things that you want to take out of this compared to a military invention was in the military invention, they want to go stealth. In other words, they want to go quiet. And obviously they are quiet, because if they weren't quiet, people who saw them or they heard what was going on, they'd look up and they'd be able to see these things. But this isn't the case with these demonized locusts. These demonized creatures are going to be heard, and it's going to be powerful like the sound of chariots. In other words, and a lot of people ask me, well, do you think they're helicopters? No, I believe exactly what we see in the scriptures. They're demons, but the power of these things are going to be so mighty, it's going to sound like a rotary from a helicopter, but at the sound of the chariots. Now keep in mind, John was describing something that he would have never understood in the future, right? But when he's seeing these bugs, that's what he likens it to, the sound of chariots, because that's what he knew. Now the breastplates of iron symbolizes their invulnerability, which again, we know that an invention from military, they would be able to be destroyed, unlike these demons. So in short, they will be impossible to resist or to destroy. There will be no escaping their worldwide onslaught, as there will be nowhere you can run or hide from them. Now, in a military sense, this is very, very important, because we know that if somebody knew that there was this capability by a military, if they wanted to, they could go into a room, make sure that there wasn't anything in their room. All they could do was observe what was going on around them. If they saw the bug or if they saw one of these things, they'd be able to destroy it. So they'd be able to be confined in an area where they are not seen, or they wouldn't be able to be affected. Unlike the demons, who would be able to go into any room, to be able to enter into a closed room. Only demons would be able to do this, so you wouldn't be able to stop them. And that alone should tell the people that this is not a military bug, but it is definitely some spiritual demonized creature. Now, in a metaphor drawn from the battlefield, John compares the sound of their wings, as I was just talking about, to a moving army, noting that it was like the sound of the chariots of the many horses rushing into battle. The sound alone will be enough to put the fear into the hearts of the unbelievers. So Revelation chapter 9 verse 10, and they had the tails like unto the scorpions, and there were the stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men for 5 months. And we already covered that. But as these demons are compared to scorpions, it is clear that their mission is to hurt men. The very nature of this full-scale demonic torment that drives men to seek death and not to find it, or to pursue death and not catch it, is not described. Now, there references in the Bible where demons possessed people, such as you're going to read in Matthew chapter 8 verse 28, Matthew chapter 4 verses 23 and 24, and of course in Matthew, as you see here, in 8:6, and also in Mark. Now these demons are given the power to torment unbelievers for 5 full months with no relief from their torment. All right, now this is another major point. If there was a military bug that was produced, and people think that this is this creature that is in the Revelation, then let me just tell you this, that if somebody were to be stung by a military bug, and they were suffering, and they, for example, took some instrument to commit suicide, they would be able to die from it. But this is not the case from this Revelation locust. They are not going to be able to die. God is not going to allow their spirit to die, so they will be physically walking around with these wounds for 5 months. And this alone shows us that the locust is not a military locust. And again, if you want to go on and read, talks about the king in Hebrew language, Abaddon, the Greek, tongue of Apollyon. These are names for the obviously Satan, but there's enough proof in the word of the Lord that shows us that it's not going to be a bug designed from the United States or a bug designed in Europe or anywhere else, because there's too many faulty things that show us that it couldn't be. Intelligence, where they, what they can do, and as you can see, most of them that I've already pointed out. So there you go. And now you know that's the answer to the question that was given to me today. Now going on, let me get into some new information. It has to do with the political system that's now going on in Italy, because Italy is part of the European Union. The European Union is the western leg of the old Roman Empire, of which both Daniel and Jesus Christ show us in the last days this revived Roman Empire was going to come back, and it would be at this time that Jesus Christ would come back. And we know that Italy is part of that. In Italy, you can't have a revived Roman Empire unless you have Italy in it, right? Well, we know that Italy is going to play a major role, and so the elections have been going on. They're getting ready for the general election, and I just wanted to bring some information to you about this because I've been watching Berlusconi. And the reason why I'm watching Berlusconi is because the things that he are doing are running parallel with what the Antichrist is going to be doing. He's going to be very wealthy. He's going to have he'll be able to do what he wants to do. Obviously he's going to mimic and act like he's Jesus Christ. Berlusconi has called himself, he's sacrificing himself. He relates to himself as Christ. And you'll see all these documents in my book if you download my book today for free. Now, just let me show you. Of course, this is February the 25th, but Italy is a political deadlock, and I just wanted to give you some more information about this because the voting as you go to my site, when you click on the link, you'll be able to click the link, and you're going to see how close it is. So there's really no one who is standing out. So as I was showing you the other day, it does look, so far, it looks like it'll come down to a comedian who turned politician, and this isn't a joke, or Berlusconi. So because of the nature of Berlusconi, you'll see a picture of him here. Because of the nature of Berlusconi, then it just it looks like Berlusconi may be elected again, but I don't know. We are going to have to watch and see what happens there. But it is interesting because if Silvio Berlusconi does get elected, and this is one of the primary reasons why I wanted to give this to you, if he does get reelected again, then the next thing people should be looking for, and I've said this before, but I have new people coming on, but what they should be looking for, if he was the Antichrist, and we know that the city with the 7 hills, guess where he's at? The city with the 7 hills. And again, when you look at my book and you see all the things that he's doing that run in parallel with the description of the Antichrist, you begin to wonder. And so there's a sure way to find out whether he would be the Antichrist, and that way would be if he engages in the Middle East peace talks like he was before when he was the president, very, very close with Israel. If he engages himself in those peace talks again, then for sure, raise the red flag and watch what he does, because who knows, if he were to come and make an agreement or confirm a covenant, then for sure you would know that Daniel 9:27 was talking about this man. Now, if he doesn't, you'll know you need to look for somebody else. But at least we have signs to look for, indicators of what to look for in the future. And that's what I wanted to relate to you. All right, so moving on, I want to get into the prophecy about Syria, because Syria is in the news every single day now. And for those of you who are new, the Old Testament tells us in Isaiah 17:1 and also in Jeremiah chapter 49, and you'll see the verses here, talk about the destruction of Syria in the last days, and Damascus, how Damascus is going to be left in a ruinous heap. And we know this. And what we do know that Assyria I believe that Syria is not going to be completely destroyed until they engage in battle against Israel. And when can that happen? Well, obviously, Psalm 83 shows us that Syria is engaged in that battle with the rest of the bordering nations that are surrounding Israel. So I believe before Damascus is completely destroyed, that war, Psalm 83 war, will take place. I believe that there's also a possibility that what happens in Syria may bring on the Psalm 83 war. So let me go into this headline. We'll bring the news up for you to show you what's going on here. Whoops. There you go. And it says Syrian rebels overrun Rebek in the town of Haifa. The Assad's statue, they tore it down. Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president. So Syrian opposition forces took control Monday of the northeastern Syrian city. And of course, I've been telling you to watch out, watch what's going on. The closer they get Damascus, the more we see the possibility that Bashar al-Assad, who promised to attack Israel if he saw his regime going down, and I will not abandon this scenario because I think that it's a plausible scenario of what may bring on. And again, I said what may. I didn't say it was going to do it for sure. Only God knows. But it is possible. Now captured the head of the state securities there and brought down the statue that was raised there from Assad. So this is the first providential capital in Syria where rebels have made such progress, and they're moving in. And that's the meat of the article right there as far as I'm concerned. All right, because they keep moving closer and closer, and it's eventually what will happen is Assad is going to have to make a move. If he sees he's going to lose power, he's going to make a move. And where's that move going to be? I guarantee he'll be heading towards Israel. Now, let me just read this. According to the Observatory of the Al-Nusra Front, jihadists fought alongside other rebel groups in a battle for the northern city, strategically located on the Euphrates River near the Turkish border. And so there's a lot of activity going on in the Middle East, and all of it is pointing to Bible prophecy. Turkey's involved in the Ezekiel war. The Euphrates River, we see in the book of Revelation, that is going to dry up to give way to the kings of the east. And the Euphrates River is drying up. It's been drying up for the past 6 years, and in places they can walk across the Euphrates River. You would have to be blind not to see the warnings of Jesus Christ are coming to fruition. They are, and they're happening quicker and quicker. So there you go, what's going on there. So now let me focus over here to the headline, the worst nightmare looming for Netanyahu, because I've been talking about and giving warnings about the Psalm 83 war and the Ezekiel war, of which Iran is going to be involved with Russia and Turkey and the rest of these countries. So let me go into this article for you. We'll get here, the Press TV, the worst nightmare looming for Netanyahu, and this is at the Wailing Wall, of which I was at. And I was blessed by go there and stick prayers of people who asked me to put the prayers in the cracks of this wall here, the Wailing Wall. And it was a glorious time to be in the homeland, the land that my father once walked, and he will walk again soon. Now, the worst nightmare for Netanyahu's autocratic rule of Israel has come. A forced visit, get this, and I've been warning about this for some time, a forced visit by the American president with an agenda and an end of occupation of the West Bank, a fully operating independent state by 2014 and more. In other words, what they perceive as happening with Barack Obama, not so much a friendship, not at all, because we're seeing the exact opposite of that. Even though Obama is saying that he's friends, he's really not. And when you start thinking or making it known that you're going to enforce this, you'll know whose side Barack Obama is. And if you're not on the side of Israel, you're definitely on Satan's side, and you're an enemy of God. The president's decision, after consultation with the Democratic leaders in Congress, including the Jewish caucus and the Secretary Kerry and Hagel, who are both new to their positions, by the way, representing departments of the state and defense, is primarily driven by economic issues, of which I just warned a couple days ago about this. Now, continuing a foreign policy predicted on the unquestioning support for the Israeli expansionism at the cost of American security and economic viability is no longer something Israel's AIPAC lobby is capable of bullying and blackmailing American politicians into. Netanyahu's attempts to crush Obama have failed miserably, while it is Netanyahu who is unable to put together a ruling coalition government after recent electoral reversals. So here's the American focus. The projected dual focus of American foreign policy towards both the Far East and Africa has been deemed impossible until a Palestinian settlement is in place and relations with Iran have been stabilized and Iran is released from crippling sanctions. Now, the 176-6 vote in the UN General Assembly on December 4, 2012, passing a resolution demanding inspection of Israeli nuclear facilities has left the United States in an unattainable situation, citing Iran for possible violations, while recent intelligence has now undeniably confirmed not just Israel's legal nuclear arsenal, but as tried, Netanyahu personally tied to an espionage ring inside the U.S. responsible for the theft of nuclear triggers and their illegal transfer to Israel. Now, let me tell you what Netanyahu's options are, because this is important, and anybody that loves the Lord should be praying for the Prime Minister of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem, as the Lord told us to be doing. Netanyahu faces the toughest political battle of his career, despite the 2-week extension from President Shimon Peres. Netanyahu has been unable to assemble a working coalition government. The primary stumbling block for Netanyahu is finding political partners willing to begin dismantling settlements in the West Bank. Over 500,000 Israeli Jews living illegally on the land under military occupation. And of course, we know that the United States is pressing for a giving back of land, which put the United States under the curse. It is Netanyahu's job to convince Israelis that he can deceive the United States by dismantling settlements in the peripheral areas that are difficult to supply and defend, while hoping for a lightning to strike. And so here's the gist of this. Netanyahu's in a hard place, but I believe that Netanyahu will survive. But I do believe that Barack Obama will use, if he goes over to the Middle East, he'll use this as a forum, not as a partner with Israel, but one who is actually coming against Israel by trying to divide Israel in doing the things of which God said not to do. And we know that we should be watching this man because he has Israel's interest at heart to try to keep them peace and trying to keep safety. And of course, Paul talked about this, and we're seeing more and more about the peace talks and just the disillusion about the peace talks. And of course, Paul did warn that while they're calling peace and safety, sudden destruction would come upon them. And that's what you can expect. Now, for someone asked me a question today, and it had to do about Cain. And who would Cain be afraid of after he killed Abel? And of course, when you read the scriptures, you know that we are told that Adam and Eve had Cain, and Abel, but it didn't say anything other. So somebody wanted to know who would be running after or who would be chasing Cain if there was only the creation of obviously Cain and Abel. But so what I did for you is I put the answer down in here, and I'll let you read that answer, and so that should take care of that question. But it's just going to take a little bit reading on your part, but I wanted to make that known. Now, yesterday or the day before in my video, when I was talking about different things that God was doing for me in the ministry and blessing me, I told you about a group of people from Nigeria who had been coming to my website, and they decided that they were all going to come together and they were going to give their lives over to Jesus Christ. And I was completely blown away by this letter. Well, I got a letter back from John, who was the representative of the 120 there in Nigeria, and he said it's okay for me to post this letter, and that's what I'm doing. I want to show you what they wrote. It's a blessing to me. There's 3-page letters, and a 3-page of this letter. And in the last page, what I did is I just wanted to blank out the last names of each one of the 100. There's actually 120. John's name wasn't blacked out because he was the one that sent me the letter, and he gave me the okay to do it. But I just felt that I should block out the names. And so that's what I did to protect the people, the students in this university. But it is a complete blessing, and it just shows that if you continue on doing the work of the Lord, and you know that you're going to expect fights, spiritual warfare. And this is why we see in Ephesians where the Lord gives us the armor, and He tells us the different armor that He has given us and how we should wear it. We should stand firm because the darts by Satan are going to be thrown. I've seen many of them in this ministry. As a matter of fact, I'll put up YouTube videos, and there's a person almost every single time. I don't know if the person has a vendetta against me or they just hate Jesus Christ, but they always come back, and no matter what I say, they're throwing in verbiage that I believe that's coming right out of the pit of hell and try to discourage people. But this is the kind of warfare that we're in. But when you see letters like this, where 120 people at one shot give their life over to Jesus Christ, and then they bless me by telling me this, it just gives me a shot in the arm of the Holy Spirit and says, Frank, don't give up. Don't allow Satan to drag you down. And just keep aware of the spiritual warfare that Satan is bringing. And this is why it's so important to be meditating on the Word of the Lord every single day and to be praying and keeping in fellowship with the Lord. Because when you do that, you get evidence of the works that you are doing for Christ, just like I got here. And this can happen to anybody who abides in Christ and wants to do the work. I'm not going to prop myself up here and say that, you got to be some spiritual giant. No, because in the Scriptures, we see that the Lord could use somebody who is very, very weak and make them strong. We saw it with the man who was lame, and Jesus healed. And in that same day, He was telling the Pharisees and the Sadducees, about Jesus Christ. So it all depends on your heart, how much you love the Lord, and what kind of life you want to lead. You want to lead one for Christ, you will be powerful in Jesus Christ. If you want to have a weak walk and you claim to be a Christian, you won't abide in the Lord, you won't be reading, you won't be meditating, you won't be praying, and you will have what is a stagnant walk. You don't want that. You want a powerful, on fire walk with the Lord, and I encourage you to read the Word of the Lord, our Father, our Lord Jesus Christ. And I encourage you, if you just came to my site and you want to know more about the signs of the last days, read my book. Read it today. You can download it today for free by going to my website and clicking on this link, and it will download my March 1st, 2013 book. So this is one of some of the reports that I'm going to be giving today. I'm going to be giving some others. So come back a little bit later. Check my websites, and you'll see some other news. So God bless you, and thank you again. This is Frank DeMora.